Today, we're going to be looking at 3 riffs that I used to find really difficult as a kid. And by practicing them over and over again, it helped me to get really good at hammer-ons and pull-offs. I was teaching a kid the other day, one-on-one. They'd never done hammer-ons or pull-offs before. They didn't know what they were. And it got me thinking back to when I was younger and I was practicing and I was trying new techniques for the first time. What songs or riffs was I practicing that were full of hammer-ons and pull-offs? So you're going to need a few things today. I'm going to show you 3 different riffs. You're going to need 2 hands, a guitar, and a capo for the first riff. Now, this first riff is called Love is the Law by the Seahorses. Obviously, you can learn it capo too, as it's played on the track. But if you can't always be bothered to get a capo out when you want to practice it, play it without. It's just going to sound a whole tone lower. Now, I remember hearing this riff for the first time in an old issue of a guitar magazine. I can't remember which one, but I remember thinking, I need to learn that immediately. It's very cool. And it is. But I tried and I tried and I tried and I couldn't get it. So I gave up on it and I didn't play it for about 2 or 3 months and I went off and did a load of other stuff. That's the wrong thing to do. If you want to play something, practice it and you will get it. Because when I came back 3 months later, I'd got 3 months better and I could play it. And I thought, wow, I could probably play that 3 months ago. I'd have actually practiced it more. But it's definitely a must-learn riff if you want to practice your hammer-ons and your pull-offs, because they are continuous throughout. Here's the first part we're going to learn. All the frets that I'm going to be calling out are in relation to the capo, okay? So you're going to start with your second finger on fret 5 of the D, and then you're going to pick that, pull off to the 4, and then pull off to the open. After that, you're going to hit the open A string and hammer on the second finger to the 3rd fret. And then you're going to put your index on the G string, fret 2, and then go and hit the open A. You want to let those notes bleed out over each other because they're just an octave apart. It's the same note. Here's the second part. Now it's very similar to what we've just done, so this should be really easy to get down. You're going to hammer on the open D to the 2nd fret with the index finger and then hit the open G. And then you're going to hammer on the open A to the 3rd fret again with the 2nd finger, 2nd fret of the G with the index, and then the open A again. Same thing. So it's just the first part that changed. Okay? Here's the 3rd part. So 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the B, pull that off to the 2nd fret, and then pull that off to the open. Okay, then we're going to hammer on the open G to 2nd fret with the index finger, hit the open A, and then the 2nd fret of the G again. Here's the last part of the lick. So you're going to keep that index finger stationary on the 2nd fret of the G throughout. And then we've got some little micro bends on the 3rd fret of the A and the 4th fret with 2nd and 3rd finger. So starting on that 3rd fret, 2nd finger, little bend, hit the G, then hit the 4th fret of the A, little bend, G again, and then back to the 3rd fret. And that's a little bit quicker. Altogether, you've got this. Now Now, one thing that I took away from this, besides just hammer-ons and pull-offs, was the ability to keep all the other strings tidy, muted, because your fingers are constantly like popping off, and a pull-off isn't just away from the string, it's kind of down and away. You could consider it to be like plucking like that. You've got to get some power in the note, otherwise you lose it. And it would be very easy to pull off and catch other strings and make it noisy. So the real skill here is to keep it absolutely crystal clear as you're playing it. It's a really cool tune, and I hope you have fun learning the first of 3. The second riff that we're going to be learning is Mr. Brownstone by Guns N' Roses. It's kind of comparable to the first one. There is a little bit in there that's identical, 3 notes. But I took a bit of palm muting in the bass, and we've got some power chords in there. It's not just single string this time, so it's good to mix it up. Here's the first part, slow. So we're going to start by picking 3 notes. Open E, 3rd fret and 4th fret with the 2nd and 3rd fingers. After that, you are going to play the 2nd fret of the A string with the index finger and pull that off to open. And then you're going to pick the same 3 notes that we played at the start. You'll notice that after the index finger pulls off that 2nd fret to the open A, and then we hit the open E, there is a bit of bleed between those 2 notes for a second. But as the 2nd finger touches the 3rd fret of the low E string, the next note, it mutes the A string and then just stops them bleeding out together. Then I'm going to put my index finger on the 2nd fret of the A and D and strike an E power chord. Then I hit the 3 and the 4 on the E string with the 2nd and 3rd fingers again. And then index finger goes across 2nd fret of the D and G, and we hit an A power chord. Here's the second part slow. Start with the 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the B, pull off to the 2nd fret and then the open like we did before. And then we've got pull off from the 2nd fret of the G to the open, pull off from the 2nd fret of the D to the open, and then hammer on from the open A to the 2nd fret, and then pull off back to open. Then grab the 3rd fret of the low E with the 2nd finger, give it a slight micro pull, and then index finger playing that low E5 power chord again. Another thing that you can do as a little extra modulation is this. So it's the same pull-off descending pattern, but when we get to that low E string, pull the 3rd fret down and then pull off to the open before you hit that power chord. And then hit the open E and the B on an upstroke. Because an E power chord is just an E and a B note, when we're hitting E and B at the top, it's just like hitting a higher octave of that power chord. The third and final riff that I'm going to show you, it's probably the most difficult, but it's awesome. I learned it when I was about 14 or 15, I think. It's from the intro of Satch Boogie by Joe Satriani. Now, I'm going to show you the first opening part of it rather than the whole thing, because I'm just showing you like a condensed section that will help you improve your playing. But if you want any more, then you can check out the tab on my Patreon as always. That's the cool little chord from the end. But yeah, this is fast and ferocious and very tricky, but well worth learning if you don't already know it. You're going to start by picking the open A, then the 3rd fret, and then pulling that back off to open. Then pick the 5th fret of the A and pull that off to open. Then we're going to pick the 3rd and the 5th fret of the low E. And you can give that one a little bit of vibrato. And the second part, slowly. Start by hitting the 3rd fret of the A string with the index finger, and then slide up to the 6th fret with the 2nd finger. Now, before you hit that 3rd fret of the A string, I like to put in either a very faint percussive mute or a little open A string with a bit of palm muting. I feel like it just adds to the swing. So after that 6th fret of the A string, you're going to come back to the 5th fret with the index finger, hammer onto the 6, pull off back to the 5, and then pull off to the open A. And I want you to linger on that first 5th fret, just a little bit longer than the other notes. And then to finish, you're going to hit the 2nd fret of the G with the index finger. Here's the 3rd part, slow. So starting from where we left off, you're actually going to pull that index finger off the 2nd fret of the G to the open. And then you're going to get your 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, play that note, and then pull that off to the open A. It'll make more sense when you play through. It's a bit weird starting with a pull off without picking, but like I said, when you play through, it'll make more sense. After that pull off, you're then going to put your 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the A string and then play the 2nd fret of the G with the index. Then come to the 5th fret of the A string with the 3rd finger, 4th fret of the D with the 2nd finger, and then the open G. And here's the last part, slow. Okay, so to finish, you're going to start with an upstroke on the open D, and then come down to the 2nd fret of the low E with the index finger, play that and pull it off to the open. Index finger then to the 3rd fret of the A, play that and pull that off to open. And then to finish, you're going to hit the 3rd fret of the E and the 5th fret, G, A, index 3rd. Something a little bit different today. I thought I'd try something new for you. Aren't you lucky, eh? Now, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, bell next to it. I'm not going to go on about it. You've been very good at that recently, so thank you very much. And for those of you that love tab and guitar profiles, you can grab them on my Patreon, but I'm not going to go on about it. Like I said, you know what to do. Also, drop a comment down below. Let me know what riffs challenged you when you were younger, when you were learning, or what riffs are challenging you now. What do you aim to get down? What are your goals? It doesn't have to be hammer-on or pull-off based, it can be anything. Okay, let me know in the comments. I'd love to chat with you about that. Like I said, once again, thank you for watching this video, learning with me. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you very soon. Very soon.